Shehzil is a Lahore-based artist whose work addresses topics such as colorism, sexual harassment, and gender-based violence. She's created her own feminist clothing line, designed the posters for the annual Women's March in Pakistan, and recently made work about creating DIY PPE for medical workers.
So just to start off, I'm curious to know what you think the role of the artist is and whether artists kind of inherently bear a social responsibility.
Essentially, like, I think what an artist is somebody that's really sensitive, and they're taking in what is around them, and then they just have this like need to express that emotion that they're feeling. So I don't know if you're even doing it as a kind of social thing, but like that's what art is essentially. Like, you are expressing yourself. And I think the more specific you talk about your story or your emotion, you'll end up finding that, oh, it actually connects to so many other people's emotions and what they've been through. um, so that's, I think, just the underlying bit of being an artist. I think that just is what it is. And on the other hand, I think that um, art artists are generally storytellers, so they're telling you something that you might be experiencing but hadn't been able to put in words, or see around you but hadn't seen it like separated. And even making something into art, like if I talk about a woman's experience, and that's something you see every day, but nobody had bothered to like paint it or make a movie about it or write a short story, like suddenly it's like worthy of attention. Something that's very normal, you're like, yeah, whatever. If you put a frame around it, it's like, oh, who knew that this was something worth exploring? And oh, I didn't even think about it that way. So I think that's the power of art. So if I talk about something political or something from a woman's point of view, especially in Pakistan, that is so not the norm. Like, I started drawing because I couldn't find anything that looks like me, or any idea that was kind of close to what I was thinking, what my friends were thinking. And I think that still exists even now. Like, it's not even talking about like Netflix or like Hollywood. Like, do I see myself reflected there? Like, obviously not. But even within Pakistan, I'm like, it's such a like a narrow view of what our media looks like where are, like, whatever you call a modern Muslim female voice. My friends are hilarious. Where are the funny women? Like, in our dramas, like, they're so like sad. Like, everybody's just trying to get married, or if they get married, it's a shit show after they get married. And I'm like, yes, people get married, but like, where's the adventure? Where's the science fiction? Where's horror? Where's comedy? Where are, children going about solving mysteries? Where are women who are kick-ass? Like, I have read these stories growing up, seen them in other cultures reflected. So I just feel like there's such a gap. So for me, it's just, I can draw and I'm a designer. So let me fill that tiny gap that I can fill. But I just want them to be like a million other people working in this who are like, oh, actually, let me tell you something from my point of view, because we have a lot of ethnicities, languages, religions, histories, and I think we've either forgotten them, or we are actually deliberately washing them out of our culture, in which it just becomes like, oh, this isn't Pakistani, oh, this isn't Muslim, oh, this isn't mainstream, and we're actually erasing our own history and our links to the world. So I think that's really scary, because I think, like, on one side I have a lot of hope for young people, and on the other side I just feel like I don't want to see people with a narrower scope, brainwashed into becoming even more strict about who they think they are. We almost take it as like a good thing that you don't have any new information coming in. So that, I think, is scary. Like, the more ideas, the better.
First question, I'm already inspired. So what led you to work in community art specifically? Why that little niche?
I don't know if I would call it that, to be honest, because I think I'm just generally curious. So I will say yes to things. And the niche that I work in is art and design. So if there's anything that kind of relates to it, I'll be like, sure, like, I want to see how that's done. So I think if I talk about like what community I tend to speak for, it's women, basically. So then I will, one, use myself as an example of, okay, this happened to me. So I'll talk about like street harassment, or I'll talk about like me taking a walk and how uncomfortable it was, me buying a bike and like trying to cycle in the streets of Lahore, what I experienced. Then like I said, like pushing myself to like look around me and ask what other stories can be told. So then this book on the artisans will come out of it. Then if I look at the street art I've done, one was with the Fearless Collective, which is led by the Indian artist Shiloh Suleiman. And she's awesome because her methodology is all about going into the community, having that kind of interaction with them, which produces the artwork that we create. So this was like a chance encounter for me. I took my class to one of her workshops and we ended up painting a mural in Lahore, which was on like log kya kahenge, which is like what will people say, which is our biggest problem, I think, in South Asia, of always worrying about other people's opinions. And just learning how she did it led me to do another wall, which was when like a bomb blast happened in Lahore. It was a terrorist attack on Easter. So I was asked to do a mural, and I think because Shiloh had kind of like paved the way for me, I think it gave me the confidence to do that. So that was me and my friends and my sister getting together and painting that, and that also went viral. And the thing with my murals is that they don't usually last. Like either the wall is torn down or like the artwork disappears or something. So then photographing it becomes like a really important step, because I'm like, okay, this might not exist even in a few months, but the memory of it will. And just, I think social media is such a great almost barometer for me to see like, oh, if thousands of people are sharing it, that means yes, they are actually in support for like tolerance. If I'm talking about love or empathy, like it's not like everybody's out with pitchforks the way, like if you watch the news, you'll be like, oh my God, like it's a really harsh world out there. Otherwise, it's interesting, like public art, if you're painting, that's a long process, right? Like you're there, it takes hours. I painted like this impromptu sort of small mural in Karachi on a chalk in the middle of the street. And there literally, like, there are no women walking on the streets of Pakistan, like unless you go to a cloth market. And yes, of course, there are a lot of women, but in general, it's just not the thing. There were a lot of men walking around, and I think I'm a very non-threatening energy on the street. So they were just curious, like, what is happening? And I think that's such a good time where you can have those conversations and be like, oh, come, you can take a paintbrush. So it became an impromptu, like, little painting class. So I don't feel scared that way, that I'm like, oh my God, what's going to happen to me? Like generally nothing happens to me so far, thank God. But it's also like when I do like a wheat pasting artwork, which is I take a paper and I paste it on a wall, that does not last at all. Like while I'm doing it, men will help me. They'll bring a ladder. They'll be like, do you want some tea? Like we can have a great conversation. But as soon as I leave and I come back, like somebody's torn it. And it's always a woman's, like it's a woman that I've drawn. So it is interesting to me, like why does it incite anger, or why does it just become an unacceptable thing, even though like you'll have a billboard of a woman, with a cooking oil, very docile, approved depiction of what a woman should be. I go in, I draw like a woman on a bike, or like the Aurat March is something I don't know if you're familiar with, but it's become this huge deal here now. And like all the artwork for it does not last. Like it does not last minutes, I think, because now I think just hearing Aurat March just makes people angry. So even when we went this year to paste the posters, like I told those volunteers, I was like, guys, just take the pictures, because I know the drill. This is not the first time I've done it. Like this was the second year that I went pasting, and it just makes me angry, because it just means another group of volunteers painted a beautiful mural of two women. Like one is a hijabi, there's stars in the background. And these kind of right-wing people came, men and women, and they basically painted like over it. They defaced it through ink. It was blackened out. And they basically said, this is un-Islamic, this is wrong. We don't want this kind of depiction on our streets. And for me, one girl is covered. The other, like it's a torso of a woman. There are two torsos of women. It's beautiful. There's like, and for me it just makes me angry, because it's like, does just like this, is this un-Islamic. Like, am I un-Islamic, or is my mom un-Islamic? Are my sisters, like, are we not supposed to exist in this society? Are you literally erasing our existence? Like, this is not even supposed to be a contentious sort of depiction of a woman. Like, this is just a torso of two girls. And I think it's that kind of just, you know, I don't know, at least on the internet, it feels like we've really divided ourselves. And I think that kind of also plays out in real life, where it's such a class divided society. Our education system is so divided. Everything is done in such like myopic ways, where it's like, oh, either you're conservative or you're liberal, either you're Muslim or you're not, you're a feminist or you're a normal Pakistani. You know, a feminist is considered probably the worst thing you can call yourself. So that makes people so angry that I think they just don't even want to take that step of asking, like, what do you mean? You know, like, what do you mean by that? Or why does it make you angry? I think everybody's so quick to just, you know, slap each other down, that I'm not understanding where are we supposed to meet? Where is the middle ground where you have these kind of conversations and be like, actually, I was born here also, you know, like I am, like my parents are also like very conservative, but I do think of myself as a feminist. So can we have that conversation about what that means? So yeah.
Can you tell me if it's been hard for you to carry on in this line of work within this context?
I think like people will write to me and they'll be like, oh, what you're doing is so brave. And I think that's weird, because I don't think what I'm saying is controversial at all. Like, I'm saying, don't murder women, don't throw acid on them, don't rape them, your daughter deserves to go to school, um, girls should be able to play sports. You know, these are not controversial statements for me. I think if you are actually standing against them, I think that's very controversial. You know what I mean? But we're standing on such a, I think the benchmark here is so low that even saying this seems like, whoa, what do you mean by that? You know, and it's not, then people will find reasons to justify their opinions. So it gets very exhausting. I generally don't really read a lot of comments because there's just so many most of the time. I get a general gist of them, and if I feel like, oh, swear word, swear word, swear word, then I'll block the person, right? Because I'm like, okay, this is not going to be a productive conversation. But I think it is exhausting, and I think I'm lucky in the sense that I get a lot of really good comments, lots of support. Women are generally always nice. Men are grudgingly quite nice also. Like, and it's also interesting that like guys will write lots of condescending, mean stuff in the comment section, but when they DM me, it'll be like super respectful. It'll be like, "Hey, ma'am, you know, could you tell me what iPad you use?" And I'm like, aren't you the guy just writing a snarky comment to me on that artwork? And you're still curious about how it got made. And I think it's just also very performative, right? Like, it's like, it's like, I'm a macho man, I'm going to show this girl. And it's like, you're actually kind of, you don't hate me, you know what I mean? Like, you're actually quite okay with me. You want to know what graphics tablet works, and you know, like, how do you become a graphic designer and stuff, which is fine. I do answer them also, like, if I can. But I think more than me, it's, I think like I do self-censor myself already. I think way more radical than what I present on social media. Like, I think I'm writing like, let's not murder women, you know. Even though I'm angry, I can't really write. I think people still think I'm writing with a lot of rage, but this is really like me thinking about it, calming down. I don't want to write when I'm angry. I want to write where I can rationally, you know, give you statistics and then give you a book to read. And then, because I feel like just getting angry, it doesn't help people, to be honest. Like, for me, it's more like, let's create empathy for this experience. How can I present this so that you don't think it's a one-off incident? Because I think it's often this, like, some bad thing happens here, I write about it, it's like, yeah, these monsters need to be punished. And they're not looking at that this is not an isolated incident. Like, you are finding out about it right now, but if you work in gender, you know the trends, you know the stats. This is one of the millionth news report you've seen. So just making people understand that it's not a one-off thing, it's systemic. And we are not just, rapists aren't monsters, they're part of the society. Why are we breeding so many of them? You know, why is it that you're getting outraged, but you still objectify women? You still don't look at your sister as equal than you. You're still treating your daughters differently. You are scared of sending them out. why is that, you know? And we're not focusing enough on the men or the boys.
Yeah, so how do you navigate presenting your feminist work to like Western audiences? Because obviously this is a universal issue, but the West has this kind of very saviorist lens whenever we look at, or whenever they look at brown women's and the struggles of brown women. Do you find that difficult?
It's very weird because obviously the internet is open to everybody. So my art is seen by Pakistani Muslims as well as people from all religions, Indians who have probably now a very low opinion of Muslims from what I can see, how their government is going. Then generally the West and how they think of oppression and Muslim women and stuff. And I have a lot of really awesome hijabi friends, like, and for me it's just when I'm drawing hijabis, like I do it very deliberately, and when I'm not drawing them, that's also very deliberate, because in Pakistan now, you like I said, they're trying to erase differences of opinion and being like Muslim means, you know, this kind of woman, very covered, la la la. So if I'm doing like an artwork for an NGO and they've commissioned it, they can dictate that, oh, could you make that woman cover her head, or could you, you know, make her pants a bit longer and stuff. And I fight back against that because I'm like, no, because all Pakistani women don't look like that. I don't look like that. I want my art to reflect reality and like my values, my family's values. So I always do a like a almost equal mix when I'm doing it for them. And in Pakistan, like clothing is such a big thing. I think Muslim women, like the first thing for women in general is the clothes that they wear. You know, that defines their character. It defines how you think you should treat them. You know, that idea of respect being just a human right goes out the window for women. It's like, no, let's first dissect whether we think her clothes made her worthy of respect. And this is not a Muslim thing, this is a worldwide thing. So then if I'm drawing something about like an empowered woman, somebody in Pakistan, usually a man, will definitely come and tell me, yes, but you know, in France, they don't let you wear the hijab and that's oppression. And, you know, Islamophobia is on the rise. And I was like, yes, it is. You know, that's, I can't put 30,000 ideas into one illustration. Like, let's tackle them one step at a time. So then I drew this woman in a burqa who's walking past this billboard of this like woman lying like this. And these men have defaced the billboard. Now, this is something I see around me all the time. And they will also only deface the face, you know, they won't deface like the body or anything. And that's classic trying to, you know, almost dismember a woman so that she's just a body for your consumption and you've taken her personality away. And the guys are still checking out the burqa wearing woman. And so many women are like, this is exactly what happens to me. I do wear it. People still check me out. My best friend grew up in Saudi. She wore a burqa growing up. She would still get checked out, still catcalled. It's not about that. So for me, when people ask me like, oh, you've made this represents oppression, this represents, I'm like, go ask those women. Stop talking over them. Stop talking about them. There are enough Muslim women in this world who are very articulate, who will tell you their experiences. You know, you are not trying to save anyone. You should actually look at like, okay, let's look at how they live. Like, are they able to go to school? Are they getting jobs? Are they financially independent? Do they think they're emancipated? Because you could be a burqa wearing woman and having the time of your life. So for me, it's just like, let them tell their own story. And if they want help, they will ask. Like, let them be the ones who come to you. Don't try to be the ones to tell their story for them.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts.